So let's get into it. This hot off the presses, Xbox One S are getting into websites' hands like GameSpot and IGN, and reviews are starting to come out on the Xbox One.
Well, it's available today publicly, and it appears to be your basic redesign with some slight buffs to it.
So let's go over what the One S is.
So it's a slimmer version of the original Xbox One. It does not come bundled with the Kinect. They've officially jettisoned that extraneous
that failed experiment.
peripheral that no one wanted. It's more compact, and
has a power supply built into it.
It has the power supply built into it, which is great for people who need to put it into a smaller space or who want it to lie flush against the wall. It's 40% smaller, and it's noticeably quieter, and it runs a lot cooler.
Ultra HD Blu-ray drive for 4K movie playback.
Right. It can do 4K, and it can also do... what is it called?
HDR.
The HDR.
High dynamic range, which is basically
a better contrast between your blacks and your whites.
Yeah, so like in the same shot, you noticeably, if like say you're, I don't know, you have a shadow on some ice patch, and you have the biggest range, you'd be able to see more dynamic, I guess, the colors, extremes, things like that. That's basically what it is. Better contrast ratio, if you want to put it more simply.
So what this means, I think, in general, is from my standpoint as a manager of a place that does repairs, is this likely will be in the long run a more reliable version of the Xbox One, and probably what they should have done in the first place. Although who knows how feasible it would have been at that price point. I believe this is the 2 terabyte model that's been released.
Should be $399.
Right, and there will be a 1 terabyte model and a 500 gigabyte model that will be
$299,
$349 and $299 respectively. They are being launched at the end of this month. This is sort of a move to get the hardcore or the diehards to adopt early, and then the people who are a little bit more casual about this to jump in. Or to wait and jump in a little bit later. I kind of see this as a pointless stopgap between the original Xbox One and the Project Scorpio next year, which sounds like a far more significant upgrade. Depending on who you listen to and talk to, even a far more significant upgrade than what Sony's doing with the PlayStation Neo. This, however, could be a great entry point for those who never got into the Xbox One, would like to get into it, but perhaps do not care about the extra power afforded to them by the Project Scorpio, or perhaps have a gaming PC but would like access to Xbox One exclusives earlier on, or would like access to things that aren't going to be available on PC. My question is, with Microsoft's continuing interest in kind of blurring the line between their Xbox brand and their Windows 10 brand, I'm really starting to wonder what the hell the point of the Xbox One is as a whole.
Sure, but I guess the One S wants to capitalize on the 4K. So you shouldn't get this if you don't have a 4K TV. First and foremost, and a lot of people still don't, because a lot of people just end up getting their new LEDs the past like 3-4 years. Do you really want to spend double that and spend $2,000 on a 4K TV? Probably not. I think the GPU is slightly faster, so for some older games it will be able to unlock or smooth out the frame rates. That has been confirmed. I don't know about all of them, but it looks like last year's Rise of the Tomb Raider might be faster or smoother for the frame rate. But it's not going to be universal. It's going to be like, can it tap into whatever the game... I guess the game had latent functionality for the future already built into it enable it, to do more effects or to smooth out the frame rate. So if you don't have the 4K TV, this obviously isn't for you. If you just got an Xbox One within the past year or two, this isn't for you. If you're waiting for Project Scorpio next year, which is going to be a significant upgrade over this isn't for you. So then... it's for that, I guess, person that has to have the top of the line technology for their Xbox console, but isn't willing to wait another year to get the one they're going to buy anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think this is... it almost seems like, to retract my previous statement, this is for the person who is going to get the Scorpio and feels like they need every single upgrade.
Sure.
I mean, I'll admit, this is kind of aimed at the market. This is kind of aimed at the person like me. But the way I am for a Nintendo 3DS, the way certain people are for their iPhones. I basically buy every 3DS iteration. There are people who will buy every iteration of an iPhone, and there are people who will probably buy every iteration of an Xbox One. Which is interesting, just because the Xbox One is shown to be greatly lagging in sales. Well, at least lagging in sales. I won't use the hyperbole without the current numbers, which have not been released. But it was 10 million, and then it was 20 million compared to the PS4. That's not particularly great, at least not in the US. So there is a hardcore fan base for it, that much I know. But yeah, it just seemed like an odd move on Microsoft's part.
Yeah, if you want to get an Ultra Blu-ray player, then you might as well get this, because they're at least $200 to get those, maybe $300. So it's the same price to get that in the console. The same way people bought DVD, instead of buying a DVD player, they bought the PS2, because it was the same price as a DVD player.
Yeah.
So you might as well just do that. But like I always say, Blu-ray is not getting adopted far and wide, and I highly doubt that Ultra Blu-ray is going to be adopted even close to what Blu-ray is, because why would you then have to deal with another technology that's antiquated with a new one that's going to be antiquated already? You know, it's like you're just spinning your wheels on old technology, and it doesn't make any sense anymore. Since everyone's going away from physical media in general, I mean, it'd be one thing if you're just buying the console, and then you got to buy a TV to match it. So it's like, okay, now it's not an investment of just $300; it's an investment of $2,300. You know, if you want a 50-inch, 4K TV. So it's kind of weird at that point. You're kind of really getting down to that technophile.
Well, and that's the thing. I think there's this. The technophiles are the ones who speak the loudest about this stuff, which creates an inaccurate portrayal of how many people are actually interested in 4K TVs and technology like this. When in reality, I think a number of people are going to be just fine with 1080p for a long, long time.
Absolutely.
I really don't think 4K in living rooms is going to be something that is common for quite some time.
And remember, the games coming out have to support this HDR. Not all of them will, coming out in order to have it display on the TV with it. So, it's a weird stopgap, and I don't think it's going to do particularly well unless they just wipe the other Xbox ones off the shelves and pretend they don't exist, and then put this one out.
Yeah.
But there's probably still so much old stock already out there that they might have to drop the price of that to only $200. In order.
They're already selling for like $229 used or something like that.
Probably did they drop it a little more?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's kind of nuts.